Good evening, I'm Shaniqua Manning, and welcome to this special presentation. All of us here in the Northwest have seen and shared in an extraordinary weather event this week. Some would call it unprecedented. Many would call it unforgettable. For the next 30 minutes, we want to look back day by day at the incredible sights and sounds of the last 5 days in the pictures and words of the people who tracked it, covered it, lived it, and who are now rebuilding from it. Here is the Northwest storm story.
Wow, well, grab some Gore-Tex and hold on tight. After a weekend of snow, powerful winds and rain battering the Northwest. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 3rd. I'm Cam Johnson. In just a minute, we're going to check in with our affiliate News Channel 8 for a look at conditions in Oregon. But first, let's check in with meteorologist Nick Allard. Can you believe this, Nick?
This is something else. That is just an immense, massive amount of rain. And in fact, look at the precipitation totals over the past 24 hours. I'll tell you what, we're going to keep you updated on the Northwest forecast in a minute, but in the meantime, here's our Portland affiliate, KGW, for the latest on this storm.
Let's check in with our crews now on the coast. Dave Northfield is live in Seaside for us, but first, we're going to head out to Northwest Cable News reporter Wilson Chow, who is in Lincoln City this morning, one spot that is seeing some very strong wind. Right, Wilson?
That's right, Russ. Strong winds indeed. Overnight, we saw peak wind gusts of 125 miles an hour here along the Oregon coast.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep the signal going on here, Joyce. We are down here in downtown Hoquiam, and I don't know if you still have us on the air, but we are in complete darkness here. The entire town of Hoquiam and the entire town of Aberdeen are without power.
As you can see, it's just too windy to really get in and fix those things. They're hoping when the sun comes up, they'll be able to make some progress on it. But right now, you got about 40,000 people in the dark.
Tremendous storm. I mean, you have literally hurricane force winds. We get these two gigantic old systems. They were old typhoons. They sweep in off the Pacific Ocean, come up out of the south, and we get this fire hose, if you will, of tropical moisture that just plows over the Northwest for 2 days straight.
It has been one heck of a weekend for Northwest Cable News reporter Wilson Chow and his photographer Adam Tischler. They've been out on the coast since Friday. Wilson, it's looking pretty rough out there now.
That's right, Brenda. We are seeing some of the strongest winds that we've seen all morning long, and these winds are just getting stronger.
You can see the damage those winds have already done to this building right here at the port of Grays Harbor. Western Steel, the roof just blew right off the building, and there's all sorts of siding sitting at the side of the building, flying all over the place. There's wood and debris flying into the nearby power poles that you can see are swaying back and forth.
It is just a mess out there. Many parts of the region. We have high winds along the coast, power outages there. We've got rivers that are rising inland because of all of the rain, no other place to go.
Several inches in water here. I'm going to put the microphone down and show you just a couple of feet from where I'm standing just how deep this cone goes so you can see how this problem has happened. Take it over here.
I heard a sickening plop, and I think that was her microphone going into that flood water. Oh, no.
All right, well, documenting this at after 9 in the morning, Vernonia, Oregon. Haven't seen any police or any rescue services, and I know down the road here we have people trapped. There's no way they're going to get out of there. We're going to have to bring in boats to get us, or a helicopter or something. Well, Zeke, he doesn't know what to think of all this. There's the river. You can see there's not much between us and the river. No distinguishing bank at all. Kind of spooky. Say the fire department's on their way out to rescue us. I don't know how they're going to get here. Roads are blocked on both sides. There's a picture of Mike's place down there. I wonder if Steve is supposed to go down there to try to help him out, get out of there. But I haven't seen anything happening. This is our house, our place, our building, our store. Not much left of it. Steve's house is floating. And never seen nothing like this before. Haven't been in nothing like this. Damn shame.
We're just off Highway 47, which is the road to Vernonia that way from Highway 26. You can see a creek back here is rising quickly. The animals have been moved to a higher part of the barn, the ones that can be moved. The horses evacuated. The people are gone. The water's coming up. It's definitely time to go.
We're talking sewage, yeah, from the King County sewage up the hill. It just blew open the water, the doors, overflow doors, and the wastewater and the sewage came right in my house.
I lived here 13 years. I've never seen the creek this high. I've never seen it roaring like this. It's never, ever done this, ever.
There's an addition on the right-hand side. I think he said there's like 3 feet of water in it already or something.
Tonight, Washington's governor has issued a state of emergency. Not only is the damage widespread, it is also deadly. Today's storm has claimed 2 lives in Grays Harbor County. A falling tree killed 1 victim. And the second person died when his medical equipment failed during a power outage.
In terms of the exact house and which house is going to be affected, we can get a pretty good idea over a matter of several miles, but in terms of block or neighborhood, there are a lot of imponderables there. I think we can come up with numbers such as this was the heaviest 24-hour period rainfall for the city of Seattle, for example. But the numbers don't mean much if you've lost your house, if you've lost some pets, and certainly if anybody in your family or a friend dies. You know, those go beyond numbers, and that's what we keep in mind when we're trying to develop the forecast for this, is what impact is it going to have on our viewers.
It is really just astonishing down here in Lewis County, and I'm going to step out of the way and show you what I am talking about. If you look across here, you see that green highway sign. That is to the right on the far side of I-5. Last night, the word Raymond was underwater.
I'd be remiss if I didn't at this point say that yesterday was about how do we contain the problems. Today is the human stories that we're beginning to see. The 3 deaths, of course, people who are out of their homes. I've left a message with the owner of the ranch, a place that if you're from Olympia, you'll love what they do and you'll love the story behind this family that started this eatery with their credit cards, literally, and they've lost it. And those are the stories that we're starting to hear now around the area. A big thanks to the local emergency responders and what they're doing, volunteers like the Red Cross, our federal military personnel who have given us equipment and personnel to do some rescue operation. We've already had a call from the Federal Highways Administration asking what they could do, and our message was clear: bring out your checkbook, because we cannot tell you the damages right now, but they are obviously going to be significant.
You can see it in the faces of the people that this is the Christmas season. This is the holiday season when they're supposed to be celebrating and looking forward to a very joyous time. And they now know that there's going to be a period of time where they're going to be just trying to recover and try to get their lives back together.
Now, we are standing in about 2 feet of water here, and the Nehalem River is just across the street from where we are, yet the water that flooded this neighborhood came from back in that direction. Now, you can see heavy equipment submerged all over this street. There's even a car underwater over my right shoulder. Still, wherever you go, there are inspiring stories of pain and courage.
Me and my fiance walked over there, and she was trapped in the front room, and the doors were all blockaded. So I kicked the door in, and my fiance climbed over and helped her up, and her brother right over there, Cody, he went up over there and picked her up and set her over the file cabinet, and her dad, Darren, me and him, we had to carry her outside the door and brought her up and waited for the ambulance to get here.
We moved as fast as we could, but it came so fast. It was, in fact, I was yelling at my daughter saying, we have to get out now.
You have to go to work every day. Then you come home and it's gone. It's just everything.
We got everything we could up, and we threw everything on the bed before we left. We had about 15 minutes just to throw stuff, toys.
I just ripped the carpet up, squeegeed it out. The water line, that's where it was, here on the outside.
And all the furniture out in the front room was everywhere, just floating around.
This is Chehalis, and that is Interstate 5, the Interstate 5 canal.
It's been a huge tourist attraction here today. Groups of friends, families with the kids coming on out here, standing out on the overpass over the interstate, taking pictures, family photos with this enormous lake. Interstate 5, 8, 10 feet underwater. Pretty amazing sight. To the west of here, the Chehalis River has shattered a lot of people's lives. It is really a mess from I-5 to the west down Highway 6. One good way to get a look at the devastation is to go high and wide. That's what we did with Sky King today. Here's a look at Lewis County from the air. From Sky King, you might think this is just a flooded farm road, but this is Interstate 5, an empty highway that disappears into a lake of muddy water. A levee broke here in Chehalis late last night, flooding everything inside. Water access, the only way to get to Walmart today. Over here, it looks like a cargo ship had an accident, but this was the force of the river pushing $1 million worth of lumber into a corner. Some people had just enough time to get their planes at the Chehalis airport to one dry patch of higher ground, but others didn't make it. Everywhere you look, there is storm-washed debris over highways, piled onto bridges. The water pushing its way into homes, too, chewing through the land under this house, the deck now hanging in midair. And it washed away enormous hillsides on the southwest side of PL. Lewis County leaders say the damage is more widespread than back in the 1996 flood. Drivers who tried to make it to higher, drier ground often found themselves surrounded on all sides. Semis and other vehicles now part of the waterscape that is Lewis County. But what goes up must come down, and residents here hope they're seeing signs that the worst of this is over. The latest estimate from the Department of Transportation, and it is just an estimate, as they might have the freeway repaired, open for traffic by Thursday, possibly later. They just can't say for sure.
For the very latest on the storm coverage and recovery.
The recovery being what we're talking about more of today.
The good news is that almost all of the rivers have now receded.
This National Guard truck was the first vehicle to make it through Independence Road since Monday.
You can see her house and everything, but there's just no way.
A mile up the way on a still undrivable road, there's a report of a grandmother and her 13-year-old granddaughter trapped on the second floor of their home. After visiting with that grandmother and granddaughter, rescuers said they were okay and did not want to be airlifted out.
They're in for the long haul, and these people have been through this drill.
National Guard units are going to continue their mission today. They're going to go door to door and check on people who maybe don't have phone service to make sure they're okay. They're also going to be handing out food and water and other supplies to the residents who are still cut off and just don't have power.
You know, it's amazing what Mother Nature can do, but she can't take away the human spirit. And let me just assure you, those folks who are literally homeless today still have a spirit.
Today is what we call cleanup day, and I think everybody around the area can all appreciate what we're doing. I think everybody's doing the same thing.
Looking into her kitchen, Karen Smith is in disbelief. Floodwater tossed her fridge and filled her dishwasher. The utensils are now floating.
These do.
It's all too much.
Dead livestock litter the roadsides of Lewis County. When the floods came, neighbors say every creature in sight was trying to keep from drowning.
There's some, and they were swimming everywhere. There was dogs swimming, all kinds of animals, moles, rats, mice, rabbits, all looking for high ground.
Yeah, go back there. At least 200 cows and horses are dead here in Fire District 1 alone. Farmer Pete Dykstra says the water rose about 8 feet in less than 2 hours, and there was no time to get all of his herd to high ground. Those he did manage to move returned to the barn, where they got trapped and drowned.
Yesterday I walked out and started looking at dead cows, and I just stood back there and bawled.
Some of the counties and cities are still cut off, but they are making progress when it comes to power. A lot of areas, they're getting the power back on. 60 of the roads that have been shut down in Washington State, they've opened 40 of those, so 20 of them are still closed. Obviously, the main one is the Interstate 5 area now near Chehalis.
I couldn't have gotten up here driving, probably, so, you know, to meet with the clients, had to be here.
The detour is like 440 miles. No.
All of a sudden, we can no longer drive from Seattle to Portland on Interstate 5 that, you know, I did every summer as a kid going to visit Grandma in Portland. And now you have to go over a pass. And that's usually what we're talking about this time of year is, you know, you got to be careful, you know, driving through the passes, it's going to be snowy, it's going to be treacherous, might be closed. but not I-5.
Contractors are already making quick progress on fixing this stretch of I-5 hit hard by rapidly moving water Monday night. The plan to breach a levee along I-5 at milepost 80 to let the water drain out and allow repair crews to see a submerged section of I-5 for the first time since Monday.
The levee was originally intended to keep water out of this area. It overtopped with this high event that we just had. So it's now actually holding water into the area that it was intended to hold water out of.
That's why crews punched a hole in the dike here behind me so the water could essentially flow right out the drain. A trickle quickly erupts into a gusher, freeing millions of gallons of water that have pooled onto the freeway. State transportation officials are essentially opening the floodgates in hopes of getting vehicles and commerce flowing on Interstate 5 once again.
My best case scenario is that the water goes down in the amount of time that we think it will, which is 24 hours. So I'm really hopeful that I can have this thing open early this weekend.
State officials say all this water is flowing toward the Chehalis River, which is finally receding.
Right now, I am in the middle of the southbound lanes of I-5, and let me show you something here. This is where the Jersey barriers are that divided the north and southbound lanes, and this is where the Jersey barriers ended up because of the pressure of this water. Now, I-5 is now only under about a half a mile or less of water at this moment. It was under a mile of water still last night.
Let me begin today by announcing that at 8:30 this morning, I requested President Bush to declare a federal disaster for 2 Washington state counties.
Now, and this used to be the dining room. Betty Vaught was just a month away from paying off a restaurant her family spent a lifetime creating. Okay. They rebuilt the country kitchen after the '96 floods, but could not afford federal flood insurance.
We rolled the dice. We got it going. Got it going. We have one more payment. Now we start all over again.
Take a look at this. This is the water line, just how high the water was during the flood inside the restaurant. As you can see, everything here's been destroyed. And while there is no insurance to cover all this, people in the community are doing whatever they can to help.
How are you guys doing? Okay. The Green Lantern, Copalis' only bar or restaurant, has become the town's unofficial shelter and 911 command center.
Green Lantern. Yeah, we're open. Come on down.
Since the storm hit, this is where people are calling to find out about their loved ones.
Because this is, information central type place.
You watch these things about floods in the southeast or the Mississippi River Delta always getting flooded, and you say, wow, well, that's not here. And then you see Sky King or the chopper out of Portland, and you see all the devastation, and it blows me away.
You never can anticipate just how strong the force of water is or the force of wind. It takes one storm, strong winds, rain, snow, and the things we depend on, the electricity, the computers. Suddenly we're back to the Middle Ages.
The good news here tonight from Chehalis is that the trucks are now moving on I-5. Let me show you some pictures that were taken earlier tonight. At 6:08, we saw the State Patrol beginning to escort northbound heavy trucks up from through this whole section here. About 20 minutes later, we began to see trucks start to roll through southbound. Again, repeating to make this very clear, the Washington State Department of Transportation is only allowing heavy trucks to go through. It is one lane. They are limited to 25 miles per hour. Now, the Department of Transportation is hoping in the next 24 hours that they can have the freeway basically roughly back to normal. They can allow car traffic at that time after all the Jersey barriers are back in. But again, hopefully that will be earlier than later.
In a place where people are burning their waterlogged belongings, and what won't burn is being loaded into dump trucks. A place where so much is torn apart. The people here are trying to put it all back together.
Oh, it's just ugly. I mean, I feel like we're helping a little bit, but we're just one street, so where do you go from here?
Sad.
At the Adna Middle and High School, parents and kids collect the debris that flooded their ball field. Jody Wellender is both a teacher and a parent here.
I work here, we live here, grew up here. It's hard to see how people have to live now.
The hardest hit areas in Lewis County are also the ones who can afford it the least, working class neighborhoods and family farms. One of the biggest employers in Chehalis is the Home Depot. Workers there say the company is paying all 125 employees, even though the store remains underwater. At Adna Elementary School, nearly a gymnasium full of donations collected in just one day. Ryan Webster lost almost everything to the flood and is looking for the bare essentials for his wife and 4-month-old baby.
We got some friends that are going to bring crib and be able to replace most of what we lost. So.
And at Beck's Ribeye Restaurant, nearly 1,000 sandwiches and dozens of hot meals sent out since Monday all across the area.
The 2.5 hours I slept last night, all I did was do sandwiches in my sleep.
On Monday, workers turned this dining room into a makeshift hotel to house stranded travelers, and there are no plans to stop the hospitality until there is no longer the need.
Because people need it. It could be anybody. It could be any of us out there.